All right, we are back, and we just had last episode was really cool. If you haven't heard last episode, go check it out because this is my friend Ben David. We met through the music world and because of his amazing testimony in Christ. So you got to go check that out, that last episode. It'll be linked in here if you want to go and see it. And today, this episode, we are going to continue our conversation from last time because we were just kind of getting into some stuff. And there's one thing that Ben wants to tell us about that I haven't even heard about fully. I know a bit about it, and it's kind of like we're just going to hear it from him because it's very interesting. So, welcome back, Ben.
Hey, thanks for having me back.
Yeah.
Excited to continue here.
Yes, me too. All right. So we were talking last episode, we left off talking about that big picture puzzle and how we all kind of play a big role. We had been talking about health, and then that went off into a tangent. And we were talking about how your body is a temple and how taking care of your body opens up new doors and opportunities for you to be able to show Christ's love and to be able to take care of yourself and be an effective tool and someone who is actually able to go and talk about the gospel because you have a physically fit body, and how awesome that is. And just how God so intricately knows us because he made us that we were able to he gave us instructions in the Bible long before we had the science on ourselves to know how our bodies function and operated, which is really cool. So let's talk a bit now about that one thing that we were talking about just a second ago. Let's kind of zoom in onto one of these puzzle pieces, and really one of these specific little color dots in the puzzle piece that is Ben David inside of the glory of Christ. And I want to talk about your experience in Thailand, because like we said last episode, you've been all over the globe, and there's a lot of stuff that gets packed in. And you said that these 10 years felt like 6 months for you coming out now that you've been washed in Christ. And I almost think, because I've heard stuff like that before, I wonder how much of that is his grace to us, where he kind of condenses that for us. Or maybe it could just be simple human psychology, but it's kind of like condensed so that we don't, because we don't want to live and relive that. And the enemy often likes to put us back in our shame and to continue shame and guilt, because temptation is not a sin, and feeling guilt and shame is not sinful either, but there's that sin in the middle, and he'll tempt us to it. Then we commit it because he can't make us do anything. And then he loads the shame on and he dumps it on. And so he kind of condenses that. But let's kind of go back into that, zoom in, and I want to hear about your experience in Thailand.
Yeah, for sure. So when I was 19, I at the time I was in California, and one of my managers at the time had told me that they would always go to like Thailand for the winter time because it was like so cheap, and you can basically be on vacation there all winter and then come back and work for the summer in the States, and then just kind of repeat that progress or process. So I said I would try it, and I just booked a one-way plane ticket there. Had no idea how to speak Thai or anything of that nature. Just a one-way flight there. So I got to the airport and then walked outside and got hit with like the 100 degrees and like the humidity, and not a single person that spoke English. Like, as far as that, it took me actually 3 days before I ran into someone else that was like from the States. I did meet like a few English speakers staying at a hostel, but it was definitely probably the one of the biggest culture shocks of my life. And then flash forward to like about a month after staying there, still kind of the short version. I went to this, it was like this gigantic beach party basically, and it was thousands and thousands of people. And there I ended up getting like so obliterated that I actually don't remember what happened for 5 days of my life. I basically went out on a boat, like on a tour or an excursion, and then the next thing I know, I'm like waking up inside of a hostel that I didn't check into, and I look at like the my phone, and it was 5 days after I thought it should be.
Wow.
And I still have like no memory of that 5 day period. Like, yeah, like one day here or one day there, but not like basically almost a week of just like no memory whatsoever. And they basically told me that I came in like super late and no one was with me and they didn't know where I came from. So I don't know if I like, was like about to get abducted or something, or if God literally sent an angel to pick me up wherever I was and drop me off at a hotel room or what happened. But my visa was about to expire the following day for Thailand because I had already been there for a month. So I went to go pack up and everything, and I literally had nothing but my phone, the clothes that I was wearing, and my passport. And that was completely it. Like, no money in my bank accounts. They were all like zero. Like, all of the money was good, everything. Uh,
Wow.
right. And so I had like a couple weeks before that pre-booked a bus to take me out of Thailand to go to Malaysia for like a visa run. So the bus was leaving like an hour after I woke up that day. So it was basically, okay, I guess this is it. I'm leaving here with I don't know how I got here, but here we go. And I was one of two English speakers on this entire bus for like 12 hours. It was wild. There was one person, he was from Germany, that spoke English, and he just so happened to be like the other person sitting across from me on the bus. So we got to like chat a little bit. And then we get to Malaysia, and the bus gets there at like 1 o'clock in the morning. And then I just walk outside the bus stop there, and it's completely empty, not a person in sight. The bus station is closed, and it is literally just me there. And that's where I ended up talking to Jesus while just sitting like on the corner of the street. Like, God, what am I doing here? How did I get into this situation? Like, please get me out and I will, do what I need to do to not let this happen again, basically, because I was just, running wild. And then that was where we like hit the brick wall, basically, was right there. And then it wasn't 20 minutes after that prayer, this car drives up, and it was the guy from Germany that I met on the bus. And
No way.
no, seriously, 100%. And the person that was picking him up at the bus stop, uh, it was him and the guy from Germany, and they pulled up and stopped literally right in front of me and was like, "Hey, do you need a ride? Can we like take you somewhere?" And I was like, "Yes, actually." I thought I was dreaming or something. Like, there's no way just someone is gonna just drive out of the darkness and then come pick me up. And but they did, and they took me to this hotel where I was actually able to get a job and work like the front desk, like as a translator, just for like some money for food and enough to like refill my phone and like make some phone calls. And thank God my family was able to like get me a plane ticket from like the capital. But it was that the 5 day period and then like the leaving Thailand that was probably one of the most intense moments of my entire life that I definitely won't forget. But because of that moment and praying to Jesus and then him answering that prayer in such a undeniable way, that just gave me so much faith that I can always think back to that one point in time, and I know that Jesus has my back and he's just not going, not gonna just leave me there. And it's just really it's just really amazing how far you can go from Jesus, and then go back to him. And then when you go back, just don't ever leave, because he's definitely way better than anything that anybody else can ever offer you.
Yeah, totally. He is the way, the truth, and the life. That is so crazy, bro. And it reminds me of Revelation when he says, "Behold, I stand at the door and knock. And if anyone hears, then they will let me in and I will come in and eat with them." And yeah, it's like he's waiting for us and he doesn't give up on us either. And it's just so crazy. Like his how abundant his mercy is and how many times we can do these types of things and he's still there like waiting for us. And it's just like how many times before he gives up or before like we don't deserve this, and it's like infinite, zero. Like there are no, you don't have a set amount of times for this kind of thing. So that's just so cool, man. That's so awesome.
Yes,
So
sir.
okay. So you're having your prodigal son moment. You went to go see what the world had to offer you because you were growing up. Everyone was asking, "What do you want to be when you grow up?" And you were like, "I don't know what I want to be." And you went and you tried to discover that, and all you found was despair. And so you're in this moment where, just like in the story, he's eating with the pigs because he's so hungry and desperate. He's like, I gotta eat something. And he's being treated as low as these farm animals. And obviously, that wasn't your specific scenario, but you were kind of in the same way, like sitting at this closed down bus stop at 1 in the morning in Malaysia. And you're like, okay, what is going on here? Just like he's like, what am I doing? And so in the story, what happens is that he goes home and you kind of explained a little bit of this already, but he goes home and he thinks that his father's going to be so ashamed to see him, and his dad's like, hey, like, whoa, you're here. And instead of lecturing him or instead of punishing him, he celebrates and they kill the fattest calf they have and they have a feast and they clothe him and they're celebrating that he's home and that he's returned. And so what was that like for you, coming from that despair moment in the dark, 1 in the morning in Malaysia, where you're praying and then God sends the same guy that you were just talking to on this bus, comes back in a car and is like, do you need a lift? Like, what happened after that?
So after getting back, I was still definitely a walking work in progress. Still am, but I wasn't really able to like all the way go back like to my hometown and just like settle and pick up back to where I, left off from basically. I still kind of wanted to like do my own thing, just not doing my own thing like as hardcore and as extreme as you could possibly make it at the
Yeah.
time. No, no one man missions to other countries just for the fun of it. So I stayed in California for a couple years, and I kind of got like stuck just in a cycle. I was like, I believed in God, obviously. I would still like talk to Jesus. I would still like ask him to forgive me when I would mess up and do the wrong thing. But I was still just kind of working your 9 to 5, going to work, coming home, watching movies, not even, trying to do anything specifically, for God, for the kingdom or anything like that. It wasn't until COVID actually. That is what kind of gave me a break to focus and realize that I hadn't been doing really anything except just sitting there and living my dreams, which got really boring actually. Like, oh, I definitely could just stay here and snowboard all day and do nothing else. But it wasn't like fulfilling, if you know what I mean. Like,
Right.
yeah, I could go do like what I wanted to do, but I mean, it wasn't like actually giving me like happiness. That didn't start until I left California and I moved to Hawaii about a month and a half before the whole COVID thing shut down pretty much the entire world. And that was just for me to like break out of the cycle I was stuck in California basically and get like sober and clear minded. And once I started chasing after Jesus, like it doesn't matter what was happening. I would just always find the direction, find the answer, whatever I needed at the time. But knowing Jesus, like of him, and then actually like knowing his character and like his will and like his desire, that was that was the switch that gave me the, I guess you would say, motivation to actually return home. So from the Thailand episode, I said I was gonna get straightened out if he got me out of the situation, but really it's like if I don't die right now and I get back closer to home, I'm still gonna kind of do what I want to do. That's what ended up happening. But yeah, that definitely changed, and I'm really glad it did because I mean, what's the purpose of life? You know, it's not, you're not a Christian just so you can die and go to heaven.
Yeah, right. Exactly. That's so cool. And we're always going to be works in progress. And the story of the prodigal son, so I want to circle back around that, but that's so cool. And the story of the prodigal son is talking about God and Jesus. And the father in that story is Jesus. And the son is all of us, all of the humans. And he also says that he will leave all of the sheep that are the 99 sheep that he has in his protection and in his care as the good shepherd. And he'll go, and you already know all this, but, and he'll go and find the one lost one. And that's totally what he did for you, man. And that's so cool. So it's like no matter how many times we go, if we go, he's gonna accept us back. And so, but then yeah, there's still that aftermath because if you remember in the story, the brother was jealous of the his older brother was jealous of the younger brother that had left. So there's still those family relationships, actions have consequences. And it's not just, oh, I accept Christ and my life is suddenly perfect. It's like, just like you're saying, no, I accept Christ and it begins to change me and those desires are being renewed. But now I have work to do. And now I have to put in the work and the time. And like you went to a new location to be able, you picked up from California where you had been doing better than you were in Thailand, and you go to Hawaii, and now you're actually clearing out all of the mental junk and you're clearing out your body, going back to that health thing, right? You're allowing your body the time to rest to be able to clear your head so that you can clear out your soul because it starts inside of us and then works its way out. So he planted that seed when you were a kid. Oh man, there goes the garage door. He planted that seed when you were a kid, and then it stayed there in it. The seeds do this really cool thing where if they fall, but it's not the right season, they form this shell and they're like impenetrable. And I think mold does this too. Maybe it's seeds, maybe it's mold. But seeds can survive so much and they're still there. They're still embedded inside of the soil. And then when the conditions are right, the seed says, oh, look, the conditions are right, and then they grow and they bloom into trees, and the trees start small and then they get bigger, and then once they're much bigger they're really big, and it's so much harder to take that seed down because it's now a massive tree. And so yeah, it's just that progression. You got to clear out your body and your system to be able to clear out your mind, and you're clearing out your soul first, which then enacts that process. That's super cool.
I would sum up everything to say, like, back to what I said at the very beginning of the last episode. I believe it's like no matter like where you are in your life, it's if you're like able to hear this or you're listening or watching this, it's not too late to like make the decision inside to like trust God, because it's not like it doesn't matter like what you feel inside, because your feelings aren't gonna always equal, you know, what you need to do at that point in time. Like, even if you don't like feel like you should trust God, trusting him anyways, and then moving on with the action to go ahead and move forward, that is a huge, super huge thing to always like remember
That
is
is very true.
even if you don't feel it, still do the right thing, still follow God anyways until you feel it, and then keep doing it anyway.
Yeah, man, definitely. Because, yeah, totally. All right. Thank you so much for being here. This was an absolute blast. We had this planned out a little while, and it was just such a light in my day when I'd remember, oh, I got this podcast planned with Ben and we're going to do this. It's like a Sunday afternoon and it's just going to be so great. So thank you so much for being here, for sharing with us, because this is the first time that you've really shared all of this publicly. So it's an honor for me to have that vulnerability and to have that like from you, and now others can learn from it and they can take that, and that's a gift, right? So thank you so much for being here and for spending your time with us today. And I always love learning more about the people that I'm involved with, and like you and I are friends for a couple of years now. And so just being able to learn more about your life incrementally and vice versa is always a blessing. So thank you so much, man.
Oh, thanks for having me. It's a blast. I have to do it sometime.
Yeah, we'll have to come back with this again sometime. You know what would be fun? We should see if we could get like a three-way podcast at some point. We're gonna have to do that. We'll have to find another friend and bring him on here, and we're all going to talk about something awesome. We'll do that in the future. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching this too. I hope that you enjoyed. Please make sure to like and subscribe, because this is on YouTube, but this is also on every other podcast platform. So some of you might be watching it, some of you might be listening to it, but no matter how, subscribe and turn on the notifications so that you know the next time we drop an episode, because this was a 2-part episode. And if you didn't see the first one and you saw the second one, you want to be able to know the next time a 2-part series drops, where you can see the next episode after you've listened to the first one. So go check out the first one. Ben, where can we actually follow you before we go, so that the listeners here can get connected with you and see the ministry that you're doing?
Oh yeah, for sure. On pretty much every platform that you can think of, just BDMP.
BDMP, Ben David Music Project.
Yes, the Ben David Music Project, but that's such a long name. And
Yeah.
BDMP will totally get you there.
I remember when you changed it, so like trying to type the Instagram handles, you're like tagging you or like trying to look up your new post. And it's like, okay, we have so much less to type now. So BDMP. All right. Thank you, man. And we will see you later.
All right, take it easy.